All right, so you probably think we're a bunch of money-grabbing whores. Well, we are. I got a new pair of jeans from that little Chevrolet thing, so nice. Expensive. But anyway, before that, we did 2 serious videos, and now we're doing another serious video, and it's very serious. It's about the EP5, so serious, boring, whatever. There you are. Don't complain. Olympus's digital pen seems to have been around for ages, although it's only 4 years. Since the EP1 there has been a new one every year, which brings us to this, the EP5. Its looks are still unique, although now mirrorless cameras aren't so rare, and it's priced similar to the higher-end APS-C sensor Sony NEX cameras. Can this still cut it? So yeah, it's that time of the year again for a new EP from Olympus. It's barely 1 year since they introduced the EP3, so that's really long. That's just light years in terms of Olympus shelf life. So do know that they've completely skipped the EP4 because 4 in Japanese is kind of an unlucky number. It means dead. And they don't want to jinx it, do they? Especially after all that money laundering fiasco, allegedly.
And it's the anniversary of Olympus pen. That's why I'm taking my EP1 out for celebration.
Yay. But just like any other birthday, it's like same shit but different day. So, same shit, different camera.
That means this is still good. Still. Wait, but let me see. What was this? So this one, actually the electronic viewfinders, pretty ugly. The EP5 got 16 megapixels, the same as OMD, the EM5, that means it's really good now. You see, it's quite lovely, isn't it? It's like twins. It's like twins.
So 16 megapixels is not really that much of a change. The OMD had 16 megapixels, and I don't think they're going to get that much higher than that. I think this is the limit, in fact. But you know, in terms of upgrades, it's never quantified in megapixels for Olympus. It's always quantified in terms of looks. But the thing is, 4th birthday is getting older and uglier. So Olympus always want to differentiate the slightly more premium pens over the cheaper ones to make it a bit classier. So that's why they made this one look like an EPL1. Lovely. Of course, there are minor improvements in terms of the looks over the other pens. They've made the grip non-replaceable now because they realised people don't bother changing the grip. So why give that option?
That's something that only geeks will know, that this is not removable just because it got Wi-Fi now. This is a Wi-Fi antenna. Because it's all metal, the Wi-Fi signal won't go through metal. That's why they have to use this for antenna. Only geeks will know.
Going back to the megapixels, of course, they're not really going to get any further because they've reached the limit of everything. This is a really tiny sensor. Of course, they created something special, the EP1, but now you've got like APS-C size sensor, compact, mirrorless camera, whatever you call them. Image quality is pretty decent despite the tiny sensor, especially when you get some quality glass in front of the sensor. Images look more than adequately sharp enough for the internet.
Sensor size, oh come on, again, the sensor size, argue again. Micro Four Thirds sensor is not too small, and the benefit is that it got smaller sensor, so the lens could be smaller, body could be smaller. Good enough performance, small size.
The fact of the matter is that you can't really use this whole size-weight balance hokum anymore because Sony has shoved much bigger sensors in much smaller mirrorless bodies.
Continue with the tradition of Olympus pen, I mean at least the more expensive Olympus pen. It's all metal, and this uses aluminium alloy instead of magnesium. aluminium. It just sounds cooler because Apple uses aluminium, so it must be good. And of course, the bigger change on the EP5 is the two dials. It's so much better than the thumb wheel and the little dial here before. The two dials now is a little bit like the OMD EM5. Yes, EM5. And it feels so good. The clicks are very clicky.
I guess when Locke says it's got clicky dials, it means it's yeah, it's clicky, isn't it? It's really quite a good thing. It's much better than that little thumb wheel. But look, the front dial, it actually turns with a shutter button. So when you press the shut button, you can actually turn the front dial like some kind of rudimentary screwdriver-driven machine. In terms of looks, it's changed enough for you to notice that it's new. Changes are subtle, but the dual dials and tilty flippy screen are the most obvious and pleasing additions. They give this pen a bit more practicality. And then of course you've got the add-on viewfinder, electronic viewfinder VF4, which is pretty good for electronic viewfinders. Probably makes me look like even more of a douche. But you can do that. Brilliant for looking at fat men repairing stuff on the streets. Whoa. You bumped into fan. Always doing that. Ugh. You do the waist level stuff on the tilty flippy screen here. Touchscreen too. So you can touch aunties and grannies without being arrested. There you go. Touching one right now. Touched her. The fastest shutter speed, 8 thousandths of a second, is higher than even the OMD, which makes do with 4 thousandths of a second maximum. Handy for shooting at large apertures during the daytime.
And talking about the IS, of course it got a 5-axis image stabilizer, and now it senses the panning. It automatically sends the panning action. And of course with adapter you can use a lot of very brilliant, fantastic OLens like my OM28 f2 lens. Maybe it's a good time to use the electronic viewfinder. It's much easier to focus. Well, the electronic viewfinder is, yes, it's actually very responsive. Okay, maybe this is the only reason I would use the electronic viewfinder. And of course, the built-in 5-axis image stabilizer works with all the old lenses.
The OMD EM5 underwear continues with a frilly undergarment that is the 5-axis IS. Just how low can it go with the shutter speed? So in theory, I should be able to get really slow shutter speeds with this. Implementation of the in-camera IS does work a treat. Something you may be pleased with is that this tiny sensor performs well with the noisy stuff. Good software means it looks pretty decent at even ISO 6400, and even ISO 12800 looks pretty clean, albeit with noticeable smoothing of the details. The maximum of ISO 25600 is put there just for the sake of decorating that menu. It does feel and shoot like a decent camera, although there are expectations, especially from those Olympus fanboys.
What do you think of this camera?
Well, it's good, isn't it? But it's just that in terms of a new product, it's not really interesting. It's alright. It's an alright camera.
It's a really good camera, but of course it got faster shutter speed, better IS, better low light sense, performance, whatever. But
I hope so.
It's just there's no real innovative in there.
Well, let's face it, this is the camera that basically started off the mirrorless craze.
Yeah.
And this is just another product of the mirrorless craze. In some ways, the expectations of what this camera could have been doesn't matter. What matters, for those who don't already have an EP whatever, is that this works really quite well as a mirrorless camera. It has the functions and the ergonomics for those enthusiastic about photography. As an upgrade for existing pen owners, it's not really enticing. It costs more, looks pretty much the same, and has just some subtle upgrades. but let's hope that they can keep pushing the boundaries when the next birthday comes along. Yeah. So we got to celebrate. Well, you've got to celebrate.
Yeah, it's still, even though it's not very innovative, it's still 4 years old. I still remember 4 years ago I pre-ordered it, and I was so happy about that.
You want to celebrate your baby's birthday? Getting old now in terms
Yeah.
of terms. But so this is what you've asked me to do.
What's that?
So the Lambie, she came with it.
I mean,
She came
this.
with it. I thought you wanted something to celebrate it, like.
Yeah. Oh, that's EP1 as well, and EP2 and EP3. What does it say?
Pen is 4.
But
Oh yeah.
you shouldn't make the fonts like that. So it's the kerning.
Oh yeah, the
settings.
fonts.
That's
The
totally
fonts.
wrong.
Actually, I think I've just seen something. That's
I mean, actually, people's looking.
that's-
I mean,
I think I've noticed a little printing error there. You can keep them. I just saw something over there. I think that's. Yeah.
no, not mine. Not mine. It's not mine.